Hello, I'm Kay, and welcome to my channel, Kayla Creations. I have been asked to host a swap for the Loaded Envelope Galore and More Facebook group. And so I have made this loaded banner. And what I mean by loaded banner is that behind each banner piece is a box filled with goodies. So I'll be showing you how to create these boxes. But first I'm going to explain the requirements for the swap. So you will need to create 3 pieces. They need to be strung together and ready to hang for your swap partner. Each banner piece will be decorated with at least 3 different types of embellishments. And then you may decorate your banner in any theme or style that you want to. In 2 of the boxes, you will create one set of 4 embellishments. So these are just the examples that I made. I have these cute little cotton candy embellishments and a little ice cream cone charm to go in one box. And then I have these cute little die cut pieces here. In the remaining box, you will create a tassel, and the tassel needs to be large enough to fill the box. So no mini tassels, even though I think they're super cute. And your tassel can be made with any type of medium or textile that you want. You do not have to have a beaded top like I have on mine. You can hang your tassel with a keychain ring or a piece of twine or ribbon. And that is it for the requirements for the swap. So now I'll show you how to make the banner boxes. Okay, the first thing we need to do is create a template so that we can cut our banner pieces. And so you'll need a scrap piece of paper that is 3 3/4 inches wide by 5 1/4 inches tall. And this will be used for what I'm calling the base of the banner piece, and it will be used for the decorative paper. Unless you want to do what I did and have your decorative paper offset from the base about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. So then you would need to cut a piece of paper at 3 1/2 by 5. So then you're going to fold those in half lengthwise like I did this piece of paper here, and you are going to mark from one end at 1 inch on the folded side of the paper. And then you will just make that little mark there, and then you will cut from that mark to the corner of the paper. Now if you're worried about eyeballing it, you can just take your ruler, and from that little line there you can, or from that little mark there, you can take a line and draw to the corner and then just cut that section off. And that's all there is to making your template. Now for the smaller template, you would just make that little mark at 1 1/8 inch instead. And there you have your templates. Okay, so for each box, you will need a piece of paper that is 5 1/2 by 9 7/8. And I will put the measurements for the boxes in the description below. So you'll take your 9 7/8 inch side to the top of your scoreboard and score it 1 1/8, 4 3/8, 5 1/2, and 8 3/4. Then you're going to put the 5 1/2 side to the top and score at 1 1/8. And then you're going to turn it around to the opposite side and score at 1 1/8. Now here I'm going to draw a pencil mark on my score lines. Oops, the lead of my pencil came out, so I'm going to have to adjust that, so it's going to take a minute. But I'm drawing these score lines just so you can see easier where I'm going to be cutting. Of course, you wouldn't draw score lines on your boxes. This is just to help you see where I'm cutting. Okay, so there is what your paper should look like, where your score line should look like. So I'm going to cut those long sides on those little short marks up to that long 1 1/8 inch score line. So I'm going to start cutting and then I'm going to speed it up. Okay, so that is the side of our box, and those little tabs there are what's going to hold that box folded together. And so it's really important that you angle the sides of those tabs so they don't peek over the side of your box. So I'm going to cut on the right side first, just because it's easier for me that I'm right-handed. And once I've angled all the right sides of those tabs, then I will flip it over and cut the other right sides. Then I will go ahead and speed it up. And that's all there is to it, to cutting our box. And so at this point, I forgot to fold all of my score lines, and so I'll realize that later. So don't forget to do that. And so anyway, I folded those first two tabs over and put the glue on, and then I'm just going to glue those tabs onto the inside of the box there, on the inside of the side. If that makes sense. I'm a little bit out of frame there, I apologize. There you go. Yeah, so I'm just folding that up and putting that tab on the inside. Then I'm going to do the same thing with those middle tabs on the same side as I did the first two tabs. So those first four tabs go on one side of your box. And so that will be the bottom of your box. Now I'm realizing I didn't really fold all my score lines. And so then those last two tabs will fold over onto the sides of the lid of your box. Now, as you're gluing those on, you want to make sure that everything is like that side of the box there when you lift it up to glue it onto your tab. You want to make sure everything's at a good 90-degree angle. If you come in too far, your box is going to be kind of wonky. So just glue that together there, and then that section will be the lid of your box. And those little flaps there that are just kind of hanging loose in the middle, that would be where you tuck your lid of your box into the bottom. Okay, before we put our box in between our banner pieces, now is the time to put your decorative paper onto your banners, just so that it's just so much easier than to try to smooth these pieces over the box. All right. All right, so we're going to glue our box to our banner pieces, and we want to make sure that the opening part of our box is glued towards the bottom of the banner. And we're also going to glue that 1/8 of an inch from that center point. We need more room at the top to be able to open our box properly and have room to put the tabs that we are going to use to string our banner together. It's also really important that we glue the lid of the box to the top banner piece. So the lid of the box is the part that tucks into the other side. So I'm gluing the lid of my box to the top banner piece. And I'm using glue because it gives me a little bit of wiggle room, and I think it's going to hold more securely in the long run. So I'm just making sure that the opening of my box is towards the bottom, that it's 1/8 of an inch from that center point, and it's centered from side to side. And it's a little crooked there, so I'm going to adjust. Now we're going to eventually be gluing those tabs on, but the tabs are going to be glued onto the bottom banner piece. That's to ensure that the box opens up properly and then it hangs well on the wall. So the tabs need to be glued onto the bottom banner piece. So I'm just pressing that down there, and then I'm going to open that up and burnish that piece down. And again, this is the top part of my banner, or the lid. And I apologize if this video is a bit jumpy. I was having some trouble with the recording. So this is the bottom of my box. I'm going to glue this to the bottom banner piece. And to make sure these two banner pieces are even and one side's not sticking out from the other, I'm going to stand it up on the top of the banner, lightly press there, and I'm going to make sure it's level. So it's leaning to one side, so it's not straight, so I'm going to have to adjust that. And then so I'm just making sure that it's level, not leaning to either side. And then once that's done, I'm going to turn it to the side and do the same thing. And it was leaning, so I'm just going to adjust that and make sure that both sides are level, and that's so when the banner is laid flat, you can only see one side of the banner. It looks like one piece. Okay, so I've got that pretty good. So now I'm going to open that up. Typically I'd wait a little longer, but I'm going to open that up and burnish that side. And then I also was going to make the lid an 1/8 inch bigger so that it would just fold over on the box, but that didn't work. It wanted to pop open and the contents spill out when it's hanging on the wall. So I've got that lid really nice, tight, and snug. So you're going to have to press the corners in and tuck it down into the bottom of the box. As I was decorating my banner boxes, I realized that even though I had used 110-pound paper on the banner pieces, that they were still folding over and looks like it was going to rip here, and it just really did not look good. So what I ended up doing was on both sides of my banner was that I put a lightweight piece of chipboard in between the decorative paper and the banner, and that seems to help keep it more stiff so that it won't bend over the box. Okay, so now we're going to make the tabs for our boxes. And I took a long strip of some cardstock that I had left over. This is that 110-pound cardstock I'm using. And so it was originally 11.5 inches long, but I'd already cut quite a few tabs. And so you need a piece that's 2.5 inches wide. And then I didn't have my personal trimmer right there, so I was just using those other pieces I already cut as a guide. And so I'm going to cut 6 pieces that are 1 inch wide. So I did fold it like that so that my paper would be double thick, and that's just going to make sure my tabs are very strong. So after I've glued and before I punch the hole, I'm going to want to put some decorative paper on my tab. So I have my decorative paper offset a little bit. So my decorative paper is 7/8 by 1 1/8, but the overall tab size is 1 inch by 1 1/4. So you're more than welcome to cover it completely with decorative paper. So I'm going to set my crocodile at 1/4 inch there so that the distance from the top of the tab to where I punch my hole is the same, and then I'm just going to eyeball it from side to side. So you're going to want to put eyelets or something in the holes to strengthen them so that your holes don't rip through and your banner falls apart. So I don't do that on video, of course, because it's just way too noisy. So you want your tabs to be on the edges of the side on the back banner piece. So there you have it. Your banner boxes are complete. So thank you for joining me, and if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up, and I would be thrilled if you would subscribe to my channel and join me for upcoming videos. All right, bye.